involved with team and training. Prior to May 2008, you know, I really didn't know much about team and training. I saw it out there a little bit there, but never really sparked my attention. And you know, leukemia, you know, I knew really very nothing about it until that day when. So I have a very large family, a blended family of 9 kids. I've got 8 grandchildren. And on Saturday, May the 2nd, 2008, my oldest daughter, Marie, and her husband, Oscar, of 9 years, were walking down the street. They're doing their Saturday morning walk, you know, like they normally do. She lives 5 doors down from me, and they would take their Saturday morning walk. And Marie collapsed. So, you know, Oscar called 911. They took Marie to Good Sam. So I was at a wedding that day, so I see that Oscar had called me, but I didn't pay much attention. So I called him later on that afternoon, and he tells me that Marie's in the hospital. I go, what happened? She goes, well, she collapsed, you know, so couldn't get her up, so we took her to Good Sam. So the ambulance took her to Good Sam, and that was on a Saturday. So we went to the hospital, and my wife and I went to the hospital on Saturday, you know, to see Marie, and she looked good. I mean, we were watching George Lopez, we were watching a Giants baseball game. She was walking around talking to everybody, you know, like we are right now. Everything looked good, you know. So, you know, we had been told that her blood count, her platelets were dramatically low. You know, platelets, you know, I didn't know what was going on. You know, I mean, I just had no idea about what was going on. Her spleen was slightly swollen, so that's why you know, they kept her overnight. So Sunday morning, the very next day, they did a bone marrow biopsy. So they got her in the hip, they did a bone marrow biopsy, and it's kind of weird because it wouldn't clot. You know? So you know, the platelets were dramatically low, and they kept going lower, you know, 24 hours, and they wouldn't clot. So now that Sunday, she looked a little tired. You know, she looked like maybe she should be in the hospital, but you know, we still. So the very next day, it was 5 de Mayo, 2008, Monday morning. I'm at work in a meeting, and I get a phone call that morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, that Marie's test results were back. So we were told that day, along with Marie, that she had leukemia, very aggressive stage of leukemia. So I'm like, leukemia? Isn't that a blood cancer? I thought to myself, you know, cancer runs on my mom's side of the family. I lost my mom when she was 54. This was back in '82. I've lost both grandparents from her side. She's got 2 brothers, 2 sisters that we lost to cancer, different types of cancers, never a leukemia. So I mean, it runs on my mom's side of the family. So that morning, you know, 8 o'clock in the morning, I get the call that, you know, come to the hospital, you know, Marie has leukemia. And I'm like, you know, wow, you know, just totally, you know, I didn't know what to say or what to do, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, what's going to happen now, because I've already seen my mom with the chemo and everything. My father-in-law, who was living with me at the time, had lung cancer. He was going through chemo, so I saw the effects. So I kind of just sat there for probably about 2 hours. I sat in this meeting. It was pretty much an all-day meeting. I just sat there, what the heck's what am I going to do? So finally, I went to go see Marie. It was about 10:30 when I saw her that morning. So about 2 hours after I got the call, I went, you know, and I sat with her. And you know, one of the things she tells me, Marie was very emotional. She was a real crybaby type of thing. I mean, she would cry every time she saw La Bamba. You know, you see Marie, you know, you hear, there goes Marie again. You know, every time she saw Selena, right away before the scene even started, she was already, you know, crying. So when I saw her that morning, you know, we rubbed heads, and then she goes, hey Dad, there's no crying in baseball. And that's from a movie with Tom Hanks. You know, so she tells me there's no crying. I mean, how can you not cry? But, you know, I try to, you know, hold back my tears. So, you know, we talked a lot that day, that morning, you know, whatnot. And then I left for a little while because I had to go talk to my father, tell my father that, you know, what was going on. So this was maybe about noon. I found my dad, I talked to my dad, we sat for a while. You know, he was pretty much surprised also. So I get back to the hospital about 1 o'clock that same Monday. And then about 1:30, about 2 o'clock, Marie just goes into this massive pain. And she's just, you know, the pain is just, it's a really bad pain, and we don't know what's going on. And then, so, you know, they got us all out of the room. So we're all kind of just, and by then, you know, talk about people. There's people, you know, from my side of the family, from her in-laws, you know, from Selena's, from school. There was probably, you know, 30, 40 people in the waiting room at that time. So you see all these crash carts and everything, and everybody's coming in, and you know, they boot us out, and then you know, apparently her heart had stopped, so they got it going again. So we were in the process of getting her stabilized, so we could send her to Stanford to start aggressive chemotherapy. And you know, they rushed her by. You know, I saw her, touched her little hand, told her I loved her, but you know, she was unconscious. And they took her into the elevator, and then they took her on down into the emergency room, and you know, they call this code, I think code blue, whatever it's called, you know, and it was Marine. So they took her into the emergency, you know, operating room and do what they have to do, and they're in there for quite a while. But then about 5 o'clock that same day, you know, the doctor comes in and tells us that, you know, we lost her. So the very same day that, you know, we were told she had leukemia, 8 o'clock that morning, 5 o'clock that evening, she's called home. 29 years old, don't really understand what the heck was going on. I mean, it was just like, you know, it was hard. It's been hard. And I mean, one of the reasons I'm here, the reason I'm here, you know, is I had heard of Team in Training just slightly, you know, and I had made a donation one time. And then I started looking more into it. And then what I did is, Marie passed away in May, so I signed up for a century to happen in Team in Training for, my first century was Palm Springs, February the 14th, 2009. So like in September, October, I signed up. And I was training with a mountain bike with big old knobbies. I mean, I remember the first day I showed up to my training. Everybody's in their cycling gear and everybody's all, and me, I walked in with a pair of sweats and some old 70s shorts and an old skater helmet that was cracked. And, you know, I mean, I was like a sore thumb. You know, they saw me, even my coach, Coach Don King, took me to the side stage, John, come here. You gotta change that helmet. First thing you gotta do is you gotta change that helmet. And then one of my other coaches came up to me and said, you know what? That 70s look, it ain't gonna cut it. You gotta do something different. But you know, I trained on a mountain bike for, you know, maybe 8 weeks, and I finally went out and bought a bike. And you know, I did that century, Palm Springs, and then I did Moab, Utah. I did Seattle to Portland. So, you know, I have a passion for cycling, more is for raising funds. So, you know, I take Marie everywhere I go, you know, not only on my bike, you know, but everywhere. You know, she's with me always. And I'm always, you know, I wear my button proud, or wear my shirt, or whatever, and somebody asks me, hey, what's Team Marie about? So, you know, that's an entry for me to, you know, talk about Team Training, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society raising funds. So Marie never got the opportunity to talk to anybody about this, or, you know, take advantage of the programs that the Leukemia Lymphoma Society provides, or nothing like that. But I do. And as long as the good Lord blesses me with being able to physically do this, I will do it. And even if someday when I can't physically do it, I'll SAG. I'll do something. Community cap, I'll do something just to keep that going, keep that going, keep that going. And I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit about that. And you know, some of you have heard of Team Marie. You know, it's been 3 years. It's going to be 3 years now. You know, from a cycling team, or from, you know, websites that I try to put together and whatnot. And, so we lost her the 5th of May in 2008, and every year since then, the first year actually Jeff organized it for us. We do a Mount Hamilton Memorial Ride. So we ride our bikes up to Mount Hamilton. And Jeff brought some rose petals that first time, and we scattered rose petals in her memory. Going back home. So now we're doing that again. So every year, this will be our 3rd annual, and it's about 100 kilometers from where I live. So we started my house. I have it fully sacked up on the top. My family sacks it all. So you guys just keep an eyeball out for that. But you know, I just kind of wanted to share that with you. You know, you know, like I said, Marie never did the chemo and all the other stuff that goes on with the cancer. But you know, I'm here to represent her, and you know, again, just thank all of you guys and for, we're doing so much for individuals that, we don't know, or a lot of our honorees that are here. But, go Team Marine.